Welcome back. So today we're actually going to start coding, and I just dropped my mouse as I said that. But oh well. I do believe that from this point onwards we will do nothing but actual code. There's no longer be there. I don't believe that there is any more need for dry talk about the individual things that you see around you here, but rather instead we can focus primarily on the code itself. So let's go ahead and begin. The very first thing that we're going to do is replace this with a template URL. Now, you might wonder, why on earth would we do that? Well, we want to actually have an HTML file somewhere else, which we are going to load from, which we're going to access from here. Well, maybe not access from here, but we're going to give a path to it here. We want to have a separate HTML file where we can do the entirety of our HTML. We do not want to be doing our HTML here, although it is kind of possible, I guess. But it would be very messy, very inconvenient, and quite frankly, it would look horrific. Imagine if you had like 50 lines of HTML code here. That would be like amazing. So just go ahead, select this line, and press delete. Gone forever. Well, not really. You can press Control-Z to bring it back. Yep, there we go. So it's not gone forever, but soon it will be. Anyway, you type in template URL, and you of course need to actually provide the URL to the given template. Basically type in app/app.component.html, and that should be our path. Now you might wonder yourselves, wait, Irmin, where on earth is this file? Well, you see this app folder on top, you know, the one where we actually remove things from? Well, now we're going to put things into it. So just go ahead and right click on it and click on new file. Now, what will the name of this glorious new file be? Well, it's going to be app, well, here it's a backslash, and then app again, dot component.html. And then press enter. And there you go. It's right there. It's actually been spawned into existence. Anyway, we can go back to the basically app component.ts, and here you can see that the path is actually matching, except for the backslash. But don't worry about that. That's just a Windows thing. Everybody uses a slash for some strange reason. God knows why. They like to use a backslash. But hey, what can you really do about it? We're going to go back to the HTML, and here we're going to go ahead and begin playing around. Now, almost all HTML syntax is valid in an Angular template, except for these things. So there are some exceptions which are not valid. So script. So this is not a valid tag. You might say, oh, Ermin, but wait, we look at how many script tags we have here. How can you say it's not valid? Well, this is an index.html, and this is something that we're going to use, and app.component.html is something that we're going to use as a template. So these things are not valid syntax in a template, but you can certainly use them in index.html. Otherwise, it would pretty much be impossible to run this application. So delete that. And reason for this, why are these not considered to be valid syntax? Well, it's for protection from script injection attacks. Usually script tags are just ignored. Also tags as, for example, HTML or body. They don't really have a useful role here. I mean, quite literally, at all. So we're going to go ahead and delete that. However, these tags do have a role. So if I type in h1 And you see, Atom is kind enough to render its aid to me and to give me suggestions. So I can type in my first Angular 2 app. There we go. So the same thing which we have had written before, we have written now. So this is definitely going to print out. No big deal. And we can even do this. Oh, this is actually running. Well, let's stop it from running. Okay. Well, keyboard seems to be non-responsive at the moment. Let's see how this is working out. Loading. It is a VM. But okay, look, it says the same thing, but what we have not done is actually saved anything. So just Control S on this one, and on the TS, of course, you need to press Control S, and that should save it. If it doesn't, I'll just do it manually, but I mean, Control S should really work. And it says my first Angular app. Okay, so it still works. Let's go ahead and change this a little bit just so you know that it's changed. And I would like to know that it's changed as well. Let's give it a paragraph, and let's just say this is just well, this is definitely something. Let's put it like that. So just a standard paragraph. This is what we would like to be printed out onto the screen, and Control S again to save. And there we go. So this is something. It does indeed change. So Control S does work, because sometimes on the VM and in Windows in general, things don't tend to work out the way I expect them to. I like to be certain of these things. So anyway, it says header 1, my first Angular 2 app as before, and then you have a paragraph down below. It says this is something. Okay, let's go ahead and see something else. So interpolation. For interpolation, we use a double curly braces. Everything inside braces is evaluated by Angular and then converted to a string. You can see this. I can just do this, and then I don't know, result of 1 plus 1 is 3. I don't know, it could be in some universe. It's quite possible, actually, in my opinion anyway. And there we go, Control S to save. Now we're gonna go ahead and wait for it. You see, let me just zoom it in. And there we go, it says this is something, and the result of 1 plus 1 is 2. Basically, this is actually evaluated here, and something is being done with this. So it actually adds the two numbers, and then it says 2. Okay, so the result is 2. It performs a mathematical operation, and then it prints out number 2 onto the screen. Simple as that. Okay, something just broke in the apartment above me. Not sure if you actually heard that. I have no idea what it could be. But I don't really care. Let's go ahead and move on. Also, interpolation, with it, data binding happens. To be more precise, interpolation is just syntax, and it is converted to property binding. We will talk more about this a bit later on. Actually, we'll talk about this fairly soon. A little bit difficult to understand when you don't have at least some prior knowledge, but it's okay. I will get to it fairly soon. I just don't want to get into it straight away. So I'm going to call this tutorial in a moment, but before I do, I just want to recap. We have set the template URL to a separate file which we have created, and then we have created HTML, and then we have written out HTML code within it, as opposed to actually writing the HTML code here. This is purely for our convenience, and not only our convenience, but keep in mind that there will be a lot of other people who will be reading your code, and you will be working with a lot of other people. Usually that's how it is. You work with other people on projects, and it's good to segment things. Anyway, bid you farewell, and we'll see each other in the follow-up.